Brooklyn Independent Television.
On In the Zone, it's all about high school basketball. Also, Alexander Coppage has an inside look at boys and girls high school track. We have all of that and more on In the Zone. In downtown Brooklyn, the New Jersey Nets will soon become the Brooklyn Nets, and they have their home Barclays Arena. But here in Bed-Stuy, we have the Stuy Dome. And joining me is Elio Velez of MSGVarsity.com and Ted Augustus, PSAL Boys Basketball Commissioner.
Hey, how you doing there? It's a pleasure.
Elio's always on, so that's okay. Your responsibility, this is your first year as PSAL Boys Basketball Commissioner, but tell us about your background in high school basketball and basketball period.
Well, first of all, I've been in coaching basketball for the last over 40 years. I retired out of the New York City Board of Education just last year. And, well, I put in 40 years of coaching, you know. My desire to change lives through the area using sports, basketball, was very, very important, you know. So through me came a host of basketball players that people know, and many that they don't know, and many that have gone on in professional careers other than basketball.
Because Elio was talking to you about some of these guys off camera.
Exactly.
But over the years, some of the schools you've coached.
And many of the schools I coach, I started out coaching my Ditmas All-Star Basketball League, which is one of them little leagues teams, and then from there, I went on to coach at, did some internship with Coach Lou Conasecca at St. John, and became the assistant coach at several places at Canarsie High School and at Brooklyn College under my former coach, which was Mark Reiner, great coach. And then from there, I went to Nazareth High School, coached there for 10 years, where Robert Phelps, who now the Bedford Academy coach.
As also Commissioner, this is your first year. How did you go about getting this position? And this is a change as far as for the PSAL, because usually one person handled basketball, correct?
Exactly.
And Elio also, has this made things better as far as in a way for PSAL basketball? Not that things were so bad last year, but you know, everyone could always use some sort of improvement.
I think it's become, it's a little easier also because there's so many new programs created every year. There's new schools that's opening up. You know, the bigger schools are now broken down to smaller academies. There's new programs open up every year. They're just trying to get their feet wet. There are also three divisions now, the B, the A, and the AA. So there's a lot of, you know, you got to go through a lot of schools that have their issues opening up. They want somebody to talk to. And, you know, with the number of teams growing every year, you need somebody to, you know, help them out.
And you have so many schools here, right? So you're responsible for AA, A, and B, and boys.
Yes. I think, first of all, I'd like to commend the PSAL leaders, Donald Douglas and Danny Harris, because these guys, they had a vision to bring in commissioners and boroughs supervise each borough, and it allows for us to be hands-on and really go and give the support as a support mechanism to our coaches and connecting them to the PSAL much. I couldn't imagine, and I got to take my hat off to Mel Goldstein all these years of doing this, the entire city, which is incredible.
Coach, as far as you being a coach, you can advise these coaches on situations that may come up.
The relationship this year has been absolutely incredible. I mean, I enjoyed it so much. The coaches, I go to their practices, I go to their study halls, I meet them during school day. I know the intricacies that they have when it comes to coaching. And they respect that. These guys are either competed against me, or I coach many of these coaches, or they played on teams. So they actually come to me, myself, and people like Ray Haskins, who's in charge of the Manhattan area, come to them, and they're looking for some advice. And especially when it comes to reconnecting them with the PSAL.
And as far as when it comes to academics, too, where's your advice also fit in? Because of the clearinghouse issues that come up, and kids, now it's much more difficult to obtain a scholarship because you have a certain grade point average or have to have a certain SAT score.
Well, one of the things that a lot of the coaches that really I find that most of the coaches really, really care about these young kids, and they want them to get better. So when I go into their study halls, when I went to South Shore, say, and I go and the coach has a study hall, or go to Boys and Girls, they have a study hall. All of these schools, Bedford Academy, study hall, all these places have study hall. So they really grinding it out when it comes to the academic. I think the coaches in the PSA are really facing the important parts of getting the academics up, and I share with them some ways that they can do it.
All right, now basketball, saying it was as far as boys championship this year, it was Jefferson and Boys and Girls. I know you were thrilled because this is your first year. Also, and then the single A, it was Brooklyn Collegiate that won their title.
You know, one of the things that they said that, you know, as a commissioner, you really shouldn't kind of root for teams and so forth. But I'm very excited about these teams. These guys work very hard.
Now, you'll be headed upstate. They'll be playing upstate, whoever wins the state. Would you like to see some sort of a national title played?
A national title, I've always, over the years, when I coach, wanted to see a national title. That's something that we can always look forward to. But right now, in the upstate, we'll do with that, and we'll make sure that that works for us, because now it's time to win the Federation.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Ted.
Hey, it's a pleasure.
And when we come back, Eric Hicks will join us to talk about the championship game and the championship season that took place over the weekend, right after this.
Coach Pursuit Mega men's basketball. Today we're going to be going over our series of post moves. Our guys have to develop a couple different post moves, and it's contextual depending on how they're being played, the position of the defender, where the ball is coming from. So we're going to show you a couple different post moves that we work on a regular basis. A lot of problem that the kids have is when they feel a little pressure, they swing the leg this way and they stop, and now their momentum is taken in this way, and they ended up taking a bad shot, okay? Here. We want them to swing the leg all the way around towards the basket and go up. All right, let's go. All right, gonna get them lead to the middle. Good, swing the leg towards the basket, explode up. All right, they must get a low base so they don't get pushed off the spot. All right, and when they turn, they don't get pushed towards out of bounds, so they must stay low. All right, they must stay low, they must get low, good. Good, feel the defender, slide around them, good. Drop step around. Get low, wide base, good. Good. Let's go. All right, nice and low. Drop step, good. 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 All right, nice low wide base, drop step. All right, good. This has been Chris Pursuit, the men's basketball head coach at Medgar Evers College. We thank you for joining our skills and drill this week, and we look forward to the next time.
We're back here at the Sty Dome in Bed-Stuy, and joining me is the man behind the Sty Dome, right? Eric Hicks of Game Over. I have Elio Velez over there. But Eric, this is one of your latest inventions here, right?
Well,
this trophy?
Yeah,
Tell us about it.
That's something we're going to debut here at the Sty Dome. That's the first in the line of something that we call Smart Awards. And this one in particular is called the Immortalizer. And what it is now when you get your MVP award, you can actually have your highlights from your MVP performance right on the front of the trophy in video format. So when your son asks you 5, 10, 15 years from now, if somebody says, Dad, were you any good? Or Mom, were you any good? You just touch the screen and the video will play and it'll show the highlights.
So that jump I was hitting right there in the corner of the last show we were here,
it might even be in there.
Find that?
It might even be in there.
Yeah. Elio?
Yeah.
We'll go ahead.
You got better highlights than you, that's okay.
But what's interesting also with this is that it's interactive in that it connects to the internet wirelessly. So we can always update and add highlights, but we can also...
So say if you had a great game 2 weeks ago, you can update those highlights?
Absolutely. If you had one in the future and the trophy's in the house, and we can shoot it right into your award wirelessly. Another thing that it allows us to do is to sell advertising on the trophy, so that defers the cost. So from a company like Game Over to maybe an insurance company or an automobile company that's trying to reach the target market that a particular trophy is being awarded to across the country can now reach them and update and change their ads wirelessly.
Maybe even the Nets, huh?
maybe even the Nets, absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, let's talk about basketball. High school championships are over. The postseason play is over. They'll be going upstate to play. But let's talk about the girls. Murray Bertram, Ed Grzinski, 14 straight.
It's an amazing run. You have to think about when this run started 14 years ago. He's a football coach who's come to this program, and he starts it from the ground up, and the up end what was then the previous dynasty, August Martin. And for 14 years, he's done it with a whole bunch of girls. Your Erica Morris, your Epiphany Princes, your Shannon Bobbitts, and they've gone to top D1 programs. And through the years, he's kept that going. But the last few years has been pretty much a great coaching job. I think people don't realize how great of a coach he is. They just think he's bringing all this talent, D1 talent, whatever. But the last few years, he's worked very hard.
And especially this year, because
especially this year, with a lot of adversity. The death of Tayshana Chicken Murphy, who's touched not only the Bertram program, she would have actually started this year. She was at Nazareth. She was connected with Nazareth and then Bishop Loughlin program. Her death started a lot of adversity. They had to overcome that. And
it was a make it or break it point for the program, especially when they lost to South Shore.
Well, at the beginning of the year, they had a couple of losses. They lost to Banneker, and then they had to work a lot of new players in, freshmen and all that, and that was a lot of adversity. But they overcame that, and they did what they always do. They played good defense, they get the big baskets, and they did a great job keeping that team together. And in playoff time, they shined where they always did, and they got back to the Garden. And they beat a pretty good McKee Staten Island Tech team who was there for the first time, who beat #1 South Shore in the semifinals. That was a tough game, but they find a way to win.
Yeah, I have to kind of echo some of the things that he said. There was a motivation that they had obviously this year with the unfortunate tragedy that took place with Tayshana Chicken Murphy. But that was kind of used as a rallying point, and I think that enabled the girls to focus and really come in there and do a terrific job on Saturday. And they beat a tough Staten Island team. That Staten Island team was scrappy. I saw those girls hitting the floor, going for loose balls. I mean, it was a very,
They really impressed me when they played South Shore. And also, you had Curtis High School that won the single A division.
Oh, very. There's another story there that a new coach, Bob Daggett, who came over from the closed St. Peter's program, they did a great job getting 6 transfers, also mold together a team. It was not just one St. Peter's and one Curtis. It became a team, and they did a great job winning a championship. And now they'll be going upstate. And that's a program for the next few years you're going to see hopefully gets to the AA one of these years, with 1 or 2 teams and get up there and compete. He's done a great job.
Now, this is also a year where a lot of students are moving around, and this has become the normal thing now. Before, one time it was controversial that a student would transfer from one school to another, but now it's like, hey, it's almost like the NBA.
Well, I think with some of the rules that it has made it easier for that to happen. But, the one thing about women's basketball, and as we as a company travel around the country, we get to see a lot of different things. And in certain areas, women's basketball, high school basketball is just huge. And I think with what they do at MSG Varsity and what you guys do with your show, by highlighting it and talking about it, I'd really like to see it come to that type of situation here in the New York City area, because the talent that was on display Saturday was unbelievable. Really, really was. And we see a lot of that throughout the year.
Ed Grzinski, best high school basketball coach in the country, maybe?
In the country, because of what the job he's done in bringing those girls, get them to college, which is very important for him. He wants to see those girls get on to not just Division I, D2, D3, get scholarships. He really cares for those kids. And you can see it. They all come back, and you see the emotion there on that court. When they won, they honored, Tayshana.
Her father was there too, right?
Her father was there. It was such a great emotional moment. They bonded so well. They'll never forget that. And they really wanted to bring a championship home, and they did.
South Shore?
It was a tough year for South Shore. Considering that they were very talented.
This is supposed to be their year.
Well, and
everyone was saying it was their year.
A lot of people said it was their year. Anwar Guyana has done a great job putting that program together.
And what would be fair if we didn't talk about Nazareth High School?
Nazareth is one of the biggest.
And the coach died.
With Patrick dying, it created a big void and hole in that program. And considering also what's happening with the school, Nazareth closing down, and that. They did a good job.
And when it comes to boys basketball, it's all about boys and girls. But before we talk about basketball, we're going to turn the page for a moment. In terms of track and field for boys and girls high school, they are one of the most dominant track and field high schools in the country. Alexander Coppage has more.
Brooklyn's Boys and Girls High School boys track team dominated the PSAL Indoor Track and Field Championship and took home the school's first team title in more than a decade. The boys track team ran away with the city title after 3 first-place victories and an overall team score of 69 points. They beat the second-place team by an impressive 39 points.
Place-wise for this meet, I would expect us to win the championship. This will be our boys' first championship since 1998, 14 years.
Members of the team attribute their program's success to their award-winning coaching staff.
Mr. James Jackson, he won many coaches awards. He got honored at Penn Relays, I believe it was last year or the year before.
The PSAL Indoor Track Championships are held at the New Balance Track and Field Center, better known to the track community as the Armory. It is more than athletic ability that drives Boys and Girls High School track team to win. It is their competitive spirit.
We're all determined to win, so that's all we need. All we need is determination, and everything will come.
Boys and Girls High School boys track team continues to be ranked nationally. Their coaches say they always race to win and achieve excellence.
Everything that we run, we expect to do well in. Right now, we expect to do well in the 4x2, the 4x4, which we lead the nation in right now, the 4x8, and the sprint medley relay.
The Boys and Girls High School boys track team continued their championship season as the 4x400 team was crowned Federation champion at the New York State Indoor Track and Field Championship.
We're back here at the Sty Dome in Bed-Stuyvesant, and joining me is Elio Velez and Eric Hicks. Eric, in terms of the boys' basketball season, it was like anyone's game to me. Yeah. I mean, because Lincoln was sort of gunning for it, boys and girls was there, Jefferson was there, and usually in past years you could always say, boys and girls is going to win it, Lincoln's going to win it. But this year it seemed it was anybody's game.
Yeah, they battled it out, and they battled it out throughout the year, and there was a lot of parity there, and I think that's a testament to good coaching. That's a testament to, once again, guys moving around and players getting situated and getting comfortable in certain situations. But that game on Saturday, really was something. But we really didn't know until the end this year, like, who was actually going to get there and who really had the upper hand.
You had some great storylines this year and a lot of great competition. Boys with the transfers, Tylee Kimbrough and Joe Angus come from Bishop Loughlin, Rashard Andrews, who played such a big part in that, being the MVP in that championship win with 26 points. Ruth Velez had to do a great job integrating them into the offense. Leroy Chuck Flood became a Player of the Year candidate. Selden Jefferson and Lawrence Pollard did a great job with a team they brought up from the JV, and Jaquan Lynch and Thaddeus Hall became another Player of the Year candidate. Look at those players. They became great players, and those one-on-one battles you saw, that was pretty fantastic.
Was the injury of Isaiah Whitehead for the Rail Splitters, was that a key factor for them too?
It was a big factor because he's one of the best point guards in this city. Sophomore, only getting better, could score, could pass the ball, do everything. His injury did hurt a little bit. He wasn't in full strength at the end, but next year he's gonna be the guy. And he is the guy already, so you can never count him out. It was just boys here. Ruth Lovelace did a great job. 3 city championships in a row. It's very hard to do, especially in the Brooklyn division, which is the toughest.
As they used to call it, the suicide division. back in the day.
Absolutely. And just to piggyback once again on what he was saying about the job that Ruth Lovelace does, I mean, I remember when she first got into the coaching aspect of it, and it was a little controversial or whatever, and people didn't know whether, where the times were a little different.
Because there were certain men that wanted that position that had been around.
Times were a little different, man.
That's
But,
true.
you got to take your hats off to her as to what she does. She's a disciplinarian. She's very, very technically sound in her teaching of the game of basketball, because you can see it in the execution on the court.
So when you're coaching against her, if you're a man, you're going against a coach. You're not even concerned that she's a woman anymore. She's a coach. I mean, she's a woman, but you know what? You're competing.
Exactly. The gender has nothing to do with it. You're going against, and I'd have to say, a great basketball mind.
And, and the irony about it is that she's a female. She's coaching boys, and Grzinski is coaching the girls. It's just the total mix.
Well, in women's basketball, it's not so, it happens a lot with the men. But in men's basketball, the amount of women high school coaches out there that coach men, that's big news.
Right.
And I think everybody is kind of used to Ruth Lovelace now, and nobody's going to come in here and underestimate her.
Winning 3 straight.
That's
says a lot. Brooklyn Collegiate, single A.
It's a great story for a program that just started 5 years ago. Jake Edwards has done a great job with a young team, freshmen, sophomores. That team was mainly composed of that. They won against Mott Haven to win the A championship. Irvin Mitchell, 2-year senior, great at 24 points. And they did a good job establishing themselves. This year it was them and Bedford Academy as the 2 teams in Brooklyn that was trying to get to the championship and become the dominant team from Brooklyn to represent the A division. So you also give hats off to Bedford. They got to the semis as well. So Brooklyn did a great job, especially establishing that program. And hey, the sky's
How about
the
B?
next few years.
In the B division?
In the B division was Pathways Prep. From Queens, they have a great kid, Jordan Washington, who Miami, Villanova, and those teams are looking at 6'7", junior. They beat newcomers, so they've established themselves in the B. They'll probably go to the A if Jordan comes back next year. So I think this year was great in terms of basketball.
Were there any surprises overall when you look at it?
In terms of surprises, maybe I'm surprised by how well the job, not surprised, I think the job Jefferson did to get to the Garden. I think to get that team, because last few years they had a lot of transfers that didn't work out.
And the thing is, Jefferson defeated boys during the regular season, right?
Yeah.
And then boys defeated Lincoln, so it was like one-upmanship, but it didn't matter.
Everybody knows each other. Yeah. It's that one game, they all know each other, strengths and weaknesses. And in that one game, it does come down to coaching, preparing your team well. And we give hats off to Ruth for doing that job. She knows the opponent ins and out, what to do, how to get her best out of her players.
I think the constant in all of the teams that we're discussing, the common denominator is excellent coaching. And it seems like it's excellent coaching from people that have good college or good basketball backgrounds themselves and have participated in the game over the years, either as players or as coaches somewhere else, and have come together and put together some extraordinary programs.
And again, top ballers are here in Brooklyn.
It's funny you say that. I had a conversation with a gentleman up in Rochester, a coach up in Rochester, New York, this morning. And they really, really understand that when you come down here and you play against these kids in Brooklyn, when you bring teams from out of the city or from out of the state to play against a team in Brooklyn, you better have your stuff together. These kids are aggressive. When you saw Saturday's game, you saw 2 teams that were trying to impose their will on each other. You hear that about a player trying to impose his will on a team or in a game. You saw 2 teams that refused to give in. One team was pressing full court. The other team was pressing full court. It sped up the action. I mean, it was just nonstop, high-intensity athletic action. And whoever, showed a little chink in the armor was going to be the one that came out on the short end of it. And that's what kind of happened. One kid got hot and changed the whole game right from the first half.
Well, go ahead, Elio, real quick.
Oh, no, I just think, it just showed on a bigger stage on most nights, what Brooklyn basketball represents. Great basketball action.
All right. Well, from the playoffs to the championship, PSAL high school basketball this year was a dose of high energy.
without a doubt is one of the best teams in the city. And so they're going to make a run. I just congratulate my guys for withstanding that and being able to finish the game off.
Back to the Garden. Anyone you want to play?
Back to the Garden. Guaranteed 3-peat.
Congratulations.
Told them when you go on the court right now, you might be out height, without a little shorter, but you're giants when you get out on the court. You're giants. The height and the other stuff does not matter, and they showed it today.
We knew coming in that was our main key. We had to be confident for it, even though they were number 1 and we were number 4. We knew we had to come out strong.
Across this nation, you keep hearing the name New York City, New York City. So I'm happy to see that we're here today, and of course next week we'll be in Madison Square Garden. That's what it's all about.
Watch this and other Brooklyn Independent Television episodes online at breakartsmedia.org/BIT.